Today on Cherry Pickin', we're doing a headliner in this 1960s Ford station wagon. Stay tuned. It's hot. Well, welcome back to Cherry Pickin'. Today, we're back on the wagon, as you can see. But first, a little backstory. Now, the last video you saw was actually recorded back in October, early November, over the course of a month or two, and it had actually been sitting in my timeline to edit pretty much since then. Things had happened, time happened, life happened, and things got in the way, and I kind of wasn't able to finish editing it. So the last video was released, and I had mentioned going on Hot Rod Power Tour. Well, we did it, and sad to say, I did not record any of it. I brought my camera just in case, but I really used that time to spend time with my father and basically just enjoy the event as it was. The last video is all of the things I did up to the point of then doing the carpet and the seat, as well as a little bit of stuff to prepare for the headliner that I'll show you in a minute. I haven't had many weekends to work on things, but we're here and we're working on it. We're doing this thing, but I want to put a headliner in it. So let's do that now. Okay, so let me crawl in the back here. I'll meet you up front. Hey, how you doing? So, as you can see, I've already done most of it. But for those who just need to see it, in case you didn't see my SVO video or my F250 video, we're gonna show you how to use this kill mat stuff. I like using the kill mat mostly because it's cheap and it's pretty good. Now all I have left to do really is this little section right here. Wow, this stuff really does soak in the heat. It makes a huge difference, especially on these long roof cars. But we're basically just gonna take care of this little section here. That's all I'm worried about. It's already pretty sound fixed, I guess. The sound is much better in here than it was because this was really echoey before, and now it's pretty tight. This stuff doesn't work perfectly, and I'm actually only using 50 mil, which is much thinner than the standard 80 mil that some people use. I have 80 mil in the floors, but because this is such a large run of headliner, and this stuff is kind of heavy, I was kind of worried about it potentially falling down. So I'm just using the lighter stuff. So it's a little bit less sound resistance and a little bit less heat resistance, but not anything crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just do a really rough measurement right about there. The nice part is that these nice little squares make really good patterns for cutting. And then I actually just use scissors on these things, but you want to use scissors that you don't plan on using for anything else, because it kind of junks them, especially if you do a bunch of cutting. When I did my 67 F250, I ruined a pair of scissors doing this because once it gets hot, it gets all over the scissors. I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece. This is actually going to be perfect because one sheet turned out to be 3 sections, and I know for a fact from doing the section over there that 3 across is basically perfect. So as long as I line up this in the middle, I'm just going to peel it, and it's as simple as lining up where you want it. I'm trying to get it kind of in the middle. Like I had said, you don't need to get it perfect, you just need to get it on there. And then once you get it on there, then all you do is take one of these rollers, these metal rollers, and you just roll it out until you don't see that checkerboard pattern anymore. And they really like having you go both ways. You went that way, and now I'm going back this way, just to really make sure it's on there. And of course this stuff, because it's hot outside, it is warm right now, so this is really probably not the greatest time to be doing this. But now, even just putting these few sections in, once I was doing it, it immediately cuts down on the radiant heat. When you get close to it, you can feel the heat from the sun bleeding through. It's hot, and this is in direct sunlight right now. But once you move your hand down a little bit, that heat is gone. This stuff captures the heat so well and dissipates it before the heat just continues to fill and fill and fill. And this stuff really does a huge job by dissipating all that heat. And then adding this jute as well is just gonna cut down even further on the heat and the sound. That's that. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up these last 2 sections, and then probably a small section right above my head on the driver's side. And then I'll show you the door seals right now. Okay, well, door seals on a 65, 66 Ford Station Wagon. Honestly, a lot simpler than I expected them to be. I bought door seals, again, back in October. I bought everything. I bought all the window, felt, door seals, headliner, because I knew these were all things that needed to be done, and so I bought it all. But it's surprisingly easy. Pulling it out of the top section, they're just squished in here, no big deal. You just pull and it comes out, and mine of course is full of a ton of dirt because it's been sitting here in the desert. And this one is intact enough that it's just peeling and peeling and peeling until we get to the fun part. Because basically, once you peel this top section out, then you get to the fun part where they're pinned. And the problem is that the pins are not meant to be taken out. So I basically have just been ripping around the pins, taking chunks out, kind of just pulling out around it. And there's one pin that wasn't set in really well. So the whole bottom half of these doors have these plastic pins that the new seals have in them. And surprisingly, the driver's side one fit up perfectly and aligned perfectly, which is good because these holes are in a specific position. The hard part is taking these plastic pins out because they're not meant to come out. And sadly, this is where I wish they were more brittle, but they are not. And so I basically have been taking needle nose, trying to grab the heads of them and yanking them out or breaking them off and pushing them inside the door. And you basically have to do that all the way around. And then once that's out, I'm going to clean all of the jam in the frame and put the new ones on easy peasy. So let's do that. All right, now you do have to be careful, especially on these back ones, but these are side specific. So you have to basically put them up to the door and figure out which ones go correctly. I've noticed that for these back ones especially, there's 2 that are really close together that definitely are supposed to be for this side. However, the fun part is that my doors, at least this one, does not have the hole. So what I'm going to do is drill another hole where the hole should be, and I'm just kind of going to wing it a little bit, which kind of looks like it'll be right there. I've just set the piece in place, and I've got the lower one in, and I'm just going to get this upper one. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and drill this hole real quick without walking it everywhere. I've got our hole, not even going to worry about cleaning it up that much, but now this will fit, and let's double check, and yep, it's in a good spot. You kind of just have to guess based on where the rest are on the door. But what's nice about these is that they actually just kind of sink right in. I'm going to start with the corner here, and you basically just press them in place, and this door trim piece actually holds it in, which is pretty neat. I know on a lot of hardtop cars you have to glue and do specialty stuff for, and it's a pain in the butt, but sometimes it's nice having a 4-door sedan or a wagon or something like that. Now there was a little bit of grease. It was definitely not adhesive, it was like grease in the corners as well as a little bit down here. And so we're just going to go down and just press this in place. And it sits pretty nice and snug. It's a little loose, but what can you ask from a foam seal? Because It's my understanding these are foam. At least they feel foam. Make sure this corner is sitting in the correct place we want it to be, because we definitely don't want it sitting somewhere else. And then we just go around with these plastic nibs, set them in the hole, and just press them down and make sure the seal sits properly. And yeah, we're just gonna go all the way around the door, pushing all those pins in. They're kind of hard to get in, and you kind of have to go behind them because they have a flat head that you can press against, and it's a little hard, but once you get the hang of it, you can kind of go through it. It's not too bad. And that's pretty much it. We're just gonna go around and push all these in, and we have ourselves a new door seal. And if everything lines up still well, this will seal real tight against the door. I'm gonna clean the other side as well, just so that we have a clean seal. So yeah, that's pretty much the door seals. I'm gonna get these doors done, and then once they're done, I'm gonna go ahead and put our jute, spray it up and glue it. So let's do that. Okay, well, it's been a little while. I got all of the door seals on. My fingers kind of hurt pushing those pins in. It's a little bit harder than it seems, but yeah, they kind of just sit there. There were some spots that I kind of questioned whether or not they put some adhesive, and they might have put some adhesive from the factory, but it sits pretty tight. It's just gonna be a little bit of a pain in the butt to deal with, so I'm kind of hoping I don't have to and just leave it as it is, and it still seals up with pressure and whatnot. But we're at the point now, I had to run and grab some spray adhesive. I got this Super 90. I guess it's not called Super 90, but I had some Super 77 that I was using for a while. This one's almost completely out. Plus, I've used this in the past, if you've seen the other videos on the 67 F250 as well as the 86 SVO. But this is a lot of surface area, and it's gonna be large swaths of this jute padding, or cotton padding, whatever you wanna call it. It's technically not jute, whatever. But it's gonna be large chunks of it, so I just got the Super 90 just in case. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the time lapse up, get this stuff put up. Let's do it. We're back. As you can see, there's padding up there. I actually ran out of that Super 90 almost immediately. I only was able to get up the front two panels above the driver's seat and behind in the second row. And then it was out, and that was it. So yeah, it already sounds a little different in here. The kill mat was one thing, but the kill mat still has some reverberation on the inside. This jute padding really soaks up a lot of that. Now I'm gonna go through and unscrew all of the parts and pieces that the headliner tucks in under. I've already started on this driver's side, but now I get to do all the passenger side. So I'm just gonna go down here and start. We have corner pieces in the back here. Now I'm making sure to put all of these back where they go for two reasons. First reason is so that I remember where they go. Second reason is so that when I do the headliner, the screws will already be in the places they belong, and the headliner will be able to, oh, that's a lot of dirt in that. Oh boy. Yeah, if you couldn't tell that this car sat in the desert, everything is full of dirt. Oh. So I'm pretty much just gonna do that the entire length of the car. Take off all of the trim pieces. I'll get them off, dump all the dust out of them, probably wash them all, give them that's sharp. Give them a scrubbing, which will help bring the color back into them, just because they've been so neglected. And then after they are all out, we'll go through, pick off all the last pieces of headliner like this. which, there you go. There's an original piece of headliner with some sort of cardboard that I probably should figure out where it went. And I'm actually going to compare this to a headliner I got, because I'm pretty sure the headliner I have is not white. I think it's like tan, which is still going to be fine in this car, but I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to have it be white. But, oh well. Anyways, I'm going to take all that stuff off, and then I'm going to clean everything, and then you are going to see me put the headliner in its bows, and we're going to go ahead and set the headliner in on the bows just so that it can hang overnight, and then in the morning we're gluing some headliner. So we're at the point now. I've taken all the trim off. I do still have to clean all the surfaces, but for now we're just going to put all of the bows in the headliner so that I can hang it up, so that it can hang from the roof of the car, because that's probably the hardest part of getting this in here since it's 17 feet long.
So Steve bought a 69 fastback.
Oh, really?
Green.
No, Mach 1 or?
Not a Mach 1. Built a week after your car, but the serial number 500 cars lower.
How do you know it was a week after?
Because of the build date.
Well, how do you know my build date? Because I don't even remember my build date.
Because I have
Oh, you have the Marty report?
Marty report. So half an inch.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, that's half an inch. So basically, I'm just going one by one, shoving them in. I have to slice the sides just a little bit. And yeah, we're just going to do this all the way. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. And this is number 3. So we'll just do this a bunch. So I guess you're on that side, and come on this side. So it goes in the bottom hole, and it's already gotten dirty. Crap. You already in?
Yeah, I'm not quite in because
It's a lot harder. Yeah, I can see that. Are you in? All right.
Oh, yep. Hit it forward. There you go. Flipping it up.
Yeah, not easy at all,
Not easy.
because they all have to go the same direction. All right, it's the next morning, and it's already pretty warm. It's about 9:30 right now. A little bit later start than I planned, but also I had to wait for this thing to warm up anyways. So it's been hot the past 2 days, which is nice because it hasn't been hot before this. This headliner we put in yesterday is already warming up, and it's already starting to get a little bit soft, which is nice. We're going to get this headliner glued in, and first I'm going to actually start with a wet sponge and do something I should have done yesterday before we put all these bows in. I'm going to go ahead and go around all of our sections that have old glue on them, and I'm going to go ahead and just basically scrub them down lightly with this damp sponge, wipe it with a rag, just to clean up the areas because there's a lot of loose debris and some dirt that had gotten in. So we're going to clean it up as well as we can. I'm going to do that real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and start gluing it in. All right, so this is where we're looking at. And the masonite, it's a masonite strip, and the original one basically fell into pieces and wouldn't be able to hold anything if it tried. So I ripped it out, took all the staples out, and I cut a new piece. I just used a piece of scrap masonite that I had lying around. It's not the most strong, but it's better than what was in there. And I'm basically going to glue this up in there. It's 37.5 inches, at least for mine, by about ½ inch. I'm going to glue it up there with some contact cement, which I found the good stuff, don't worry. So we will be using the good stuff and not the non-flammable stuff. But now I got to just put this in, drill holes, screw it in, and then we're ready to start actually putting the headliner in. So
They don't list them.
So I'm just gonna paint. All right, it's I think tacky enough. So we're gonna come in here and very carefully Now, it actually does have a little bit of a bend to it, so I'm going to follow that bend and just put some pressure on it. And now I have a new strip, tack strip, whatever you want to call it, to staple the headliner on. I'll show you it right now. And here is the tack strip I was talking about. As you can see, the new one is up there. That's where the old one was. So now I just need to put some screws or nails, drive nails in it. All right, well, it's been a little while. But I also have the self-tapping pan head screws. They're a little small now that I'm looking at them, but I'm thinking of using these first because these are going to be quickest, easiest thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and try to just put these into this board right now, and hopefully we're just done with it. Okay, not too bad. That might just work. The worry with using these is having the board split. But honestly, the original board split probably a long time ago, so I'm not gonna worry about it. Once this thing is glued in place, the trim is gonna hold it pretty tight. So we're just gonna wing it, because, you know, why not? Let's put some more in. Now it's the fun part, where we get to actually do the headliner. Now comes the part I've been dreading this entire time, where we take our headliner and glue it in place. I'm gonna go ahead and take our contact cement and actually set it in here. And now the fun part, I get to paint this entire section with this contact cement, as well as the other side of the headliner. We're gonna start at the back here, because this is where I was told I should start. Plus it makes the most sense for this application. Get this painted on there. Nothing to do but to do it. We'll start in the middle here. And we'll tuck that in. And I'm going from side to side, making sure that this line stays even and parallel. And of course, there's going to be a touch of puckering. That's our first little section. I'm going to go ahead and get our air nailer. We'll start in the middle here. Oh, there's one. Okay, and that's a good first taut section. Yeah, that looks pretty good actually. And I'm actually gonna go ahead and just throw some clips here. Yeah, that looks good. I'm actually really happy with that. You can probably see there's some puckering in here. That's all gonna be taken out. You can actually see it start to leave when I pull the sides out. You know, wagons, big car to do stuff on, but I actually do think that there is some things about them that are actually probably easier than other cars. You can probably get away with quite a bit more things that you wouldn't be able to in other vehicles. And that's the back, at least the start of the back. So we're at the front here, which as you can tell has fallen down, which is actually okay for right now. These brushes are quickly becoming single use, and so I had to throw them away. I ran all of the screws for our visors and everything. I ran them all in as far as I could without causing issues, so that they don't stick out when we actually try to pull this thing. But pretty much we're just gonna do the same thing. This one's a little bit different because, well, once it's on, it's on. There is no binder clips for this one. It would have been nice if I could have done this with the windshield out, but well, didn't have that luxury. And I was told you didn't have to, so we're gonna make that we're gonna make that a reality because I don't have the option. The front bow keeps falling back over because it has tension pulling it backwards. So we have to spin it back around, figure out where the line of glue needs to be, and then glue it, pull it really tight, because this time we're going to be pulling it tight and checking from the back because we basically don't want to see any cross wrinkles across the entire front of this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing back flipped over, which is kind of a pain. Oh, did I just take it out of the holes? It is really hard to keep it forward now. And it looks like we're gonna need that entire bottom section. Just gonna push it up here into it. Let's get around these screw heads. I don't want to get them on the screw heads. I want to avoid covering the screw heads because they gotta come out, so I don't want them glued to the headliner. So as you can see, there's still a bunch of wrinkles, but if you notice, all of the wrinkles are actually perpendicular or parallel to the driveline of the car, which means that all of those wrinkles are from it bunching up this way. If I had wrinkles going this way across, which there may be a spot or two that might have it, it's hard to tell, that would be of concern, because if they were wrinkling this way and they were bunching up like this in a line perpendicular to the driveline, then we would not have enough taut material pulled, and that would be an issue. I'm actually going to go ahead and quickly work my way down the side of this car, trying not to pull off what I've already done. This is hard. I mean, I don't even know if I'm doing this right, but it sure feels like I'm doing it wrong. But we'll see. I mean, once we start doing the sides, that's when there'll be probably the biggest difference, I hope. Minor disaster, semi-avoided. In case you need to know, contact cement, when it spills on your carpet in large amounts, use water and a sponge and a towel to clean most of it up, and then get some isopropyl alcohol, and that'll turn it into weird jelly pieces that you can get out of your carpet. So, disaster averted. Probably best not to put this thing on the seat that I'm sitting on that moves. So we're just gonna continue. We've got most of the front buttoned up. It didn't go as smoothly as I wanted it to, but it's working. So we're just gonna keep going on. We're gonna get these corners done. And then once these front corners are done, we're gonna work our way back, all the way back to the back of the car. I think that's gonna be the best option for us. I know that's probably not the correct way to do it. You probably should start from the middle, but I want the front to look nice. So we're gonna do the front first and work our way back. Okay, that's it. That's the headliner. It's in. I'm done, at least for now. Man, that was rough, but I think it actually turned out really well. There aren't any major wrinkles anywhere that I can tell. There's a few spots where it's got some weird shifting. This corner turned out really well in the back corner. It's a really odd compound curve that kind of goes inward. This one turned out really well. This one has a little bit of pull on one way or another that it could probably take, but I was at the point where I couldn't keep shifting it because I was just, sometimes you got to just say, yep, that's good enough, because otherwise you'll ruin it. So let me show you how it looks, and we'll move on to the next part. So as you can see, it's in, and it actually looks pretty good. There are some light reflections right about here that kind of make things look funky. Trust me, there are no major wrinkles as far as I can tell. It's not exactly perfect. So overall, it turned out pretty well. I'm honestly really happy with it. Like I'm so tired right now, but it looks so nice. So now I'm at the point of I get to put all the trim back on, basically. I don't know if I'm gonna get that done today. It is Mother's Day as I'm recording this, and I'm supposed to be going out to dinner pretty soon. So I really need to wrap up out here. There will probably be a few pieces of trim that I put up, just because I think I need to put them up in order to hold the headliner in place, especially at the front. The back here, I'm not worried about nearly as much. It's stapled, and then the binder clips are holding up the sides really well, and it's stapled along the sides pretty good. So realistically, right now would be the time I'd want to put all of the trim back on just to set it and hold it in place, but I'm just not going to get that. So I'm probably just going to focus on getting the front back up. There's two pieces that go along the front, and I'm probably just going to I don't know, I might trim, I might not, but that's kind of the next step, is putting all the trim back in, and then this headliner is done. So let's do that, I guess. So it's been a few weeks, and as you can see, the headliner is done. All the trim is put back into place. I cleaned it up, and it's back in. Now, you may or may not be able to tell, there are a little bit of wrinkles in certain spots, like right there and right there. I have not taken any heat to this headliner at all. I have simply just let it rest. And I think if I took some heat, I could probably get those wrinkles out. But honestly, right now, I'm fine. It's okay. It looks good. It looks great even. I'm actually really happy with this. This is the first stretch style headliner that I've ever done. And honestly, I'm really happy with how it turned out, because I mean, it looks nice. It looks pretty much just as good as, I think, a professional shop. It's not perfect, of course, there's a wrinkle here too, but they're very, very minor, and honestly, I probably could get them out with heat, but I've been lazy and I don't really want to get a hairdryer or something like that out. So it is what it is for now. Maybe I'll fix it later. Who knows? But it's done. I'll just say that if you're doing this for your first time, the front is going to be your biggest issue. It really didn't work out great, and in the video I think I actually cut the part where I actually pulled it back off once and re-stretched it, because it didn't really get as tight as I wanted it to. So I was able to carefully pull it back off of the contact cement and put some more on a little bit further back, and then put it back on. And honestly, the heat was actually not my friend in this case. It made it really, really hard for the contact cement to stay tacky long enough, because it would really start to dry pretty much immediately, especially on the metal parts at the front liner for the windshield. I would probably do it in the shade next time instead of trying to do it outright in the sun. Other than that, it honestly wasn't too bad. I would say that if you're going to do this yourself, especially on one of these 60 station wagons, make sure your trim is prepared and ready to go back on, because as soon as you staple and glue, you're going to want to get that trim on, because that trim does a lot of work holding large surface points to hold that headliner. As you can see, I have a dome light, and I'll show you that. And if we come to the front here, you can take a seat. I don't even know if I actually showed. This is the seat and the carpet that I may have mentioned. It's a little dirty right now because, well, I used this thing. This was actually already in the car. And I'm using the original visors because they're actually in really good shape other than a few stains here and there, but they cleaned up pretty well. They do not match perfectly, as you can see. There is a slight color change, but honestly, this car's not a perfect restoration. As you can see, I actually have, this is I think a 65, 66 Comet, Falcon, maybe even Mustang. But as you can tell, there's a screw sticking out because, well, it's not the right size for Galaxy. Galaxies are bigger and slightly different, and they don't reproduce them. For now, it works. As you can see, I have the trim going all the way around. I shined up and chrome polished our hooks, and that's it from this side. And there's the other side. I used the factory pinch-on windlace that was already here. I cleaned it up a little bit. As you can see, my pillar posts, I don't know if you can see it very well, they are a little crunchy. They have lost a lot of plastic. This car sat in the desert, so all of my plastics, kind of like that down there, have all kind of disintegrated. I am looking for better ones, but in the meantime, all of this works more than enough for me. So that's what the headliner turned out to be. If I haven't mentioned this already, I do think that this is a job where if you don't really feel comfortable in your skills as a Maverick mechanic, an at-home mechanic, an amateur mechanic, whatever you may be at amateur restore, if you don't feel confident in your skills, this is a pretty big job. But this overall really wasn't that hard of a job. I wouldn't suggest it if you don't feel confident enough. Now, was I super confident going into this? No, I put it off for 3 months because I was scared I was gonna mess it up, and well, it's kind of hard to get one of these now. But if you have a 60s station wagon, I think almost any make, they use this stretch bow style headliner, and this is a lot of surface area, and there are not a lot of videos on YouTube about this, so I wanted to come on here and kind of show my process and how it turned out for me. There were probably a ton of things that I could have gone over, but I think this kind of gives you the idea that, well, if you are somewhat confident in your skills and you've done a little bit of detail work, I think you can do this. It's really not that hard, but it just does take time. And if you're not comfortable working with tools the way that I feel comfortable, then it might be hard for you. However, I wasn't gonna pay $400 or $500, $1,000 for someone to do this, so I was willing to risk it on my own. Also, this car was $500. It was a steal, but it also was cheap. And so I'm not really too worried if the headliner isn't perfect. So that's the headliner. Do I think you should do it on your own? Maybe. That's up to you, I guess. And if you feel like, yeah, I could do that, go ahead, do it. The worst that you could do is, well, ruin it and have to try again. I guess maybe you could light your car on fire somehow because you did something really wrong, and if you did that, that's on you. But anyways, well, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Leave me a like, comment, subscribe. Everything helps. I really appreciate it. You know how YouTube works. It really responds to the feedback that you give me, and I appreciate all the feedback you give me, good or bad. I need it all. I'm trying my best, and I just want to show some things that aren't shown as often, and this is one of them. 66 Fords kind of aren't shown a lot on YouTube, so I'm hoping to share some knowledge and maybe even learn some more from all of you guys. So thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.